All right, so the last thing that we're going to talk about today is using something called the asset warp tool. Okay, this is a pretty powerful tool, and what it allows you to do is to add what are referred to as bones to your symbol. Okay, or to your drawing, I should say. All right, so what bones allow you to do is, so without bones, we would just be a bunch of skin lying on the ground. Bones attach our muscles, our muscles and our muscle systems are attached to our bones, and then we move the bones, it moves our muscles, which also moves our skin. Okay. What we can do is we can add, using the asset warp, we can add bones that allow us to take your drawing and then manipulate part of that drawing depending on how close the bones are to different parts of your drawing. So essentially you're adding bones, and the bones will affect how your allow you to manipulate your drawing, essentially, kind of like it has bones in it. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, this is exercise 7, and it looks exactly like what we did in exercise 6 with parenting. The difference with this is that this is actually just a object. Make sure it's not a symbol. Okay, that's the important part here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this and I'm just going to click right here. Okay, give it a second. And you're going to notice that it gets this sort of blue scaffolding. This is known as a mesh. Okay, the mesh is think of it as like the skin. The mesh represents the skin of the drawing. Now, this is actually like a joint. And if I click my line, you'll notice, see, I'm getting this kind of arrow or this triangle. That is going to be the bone. Okay. So I'm clicking and I'm going to make a second joint here. So this is a bone. And I'm just going to continue, and I'm going to add a bone here. And then I'm going to add a bone here. Okay. And what I've done, you'll notice that I have this thing in my library called a warped asset. I'm going to go back. And so what I've done now is, when I click on these bones, see how I can actually manipulate? So what's actually happening is these bones are affecting the mesh, which is around your drawing. So if you move the bones, it moves the mesh. In the same way, if I move my bone here, it's moving my skin and my muscles. Okay. So I can move, I can move my bones. I can also rotate the bones. So if you rotate your bones, I can kind of, so if you want to like rotate, what you want to do is put your cursor, if you highlight the joint and you put this, it'll rotate it. If you just click on it directly, it'll just like sort of let you move it forward or backwards if you like click in the joint and move it. So it kind of depends if you want to move it or to rotate the bone. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, I want this arm to kind of rotate. So what I'm going to do is, let's set the position. I'm going to set it there. And then what I'm going to do is make a second keyframe here. So I'm going to insert a keyframe. And then I'm going to take this bone and rotate it like that. Okay. So I have two keyframes. Zoom back in. keyframe 1, keyframe 2. Then what I can do is go back and connect this using our classic tween. Remember, classic tween is when you blend or interpolate between two keyframes. And then there you go. Now you will notice it does kind of warp it a little different, a little bit, depending on how many bones you have and how, how big the mesh is and things like that. So you can always go back and kind of readjust this. So, if you make the mesh a little bit smaller, like this, then it won't warp as much of the area. So for instance, before it was kind of warping, still doing it a little bit, but it's not quite as much there. Let's say you made a mistake with placing your bones and you want to edit them. You can't really edit them here. What you're going to have to actually do is find the asset here. I'm just going to rename it like robot arm. And I'm going to edit this. And now that I'm in edit mode, oops, sorry, I messed up there. What you want to do is highlight the bone and you want to go to where it, right click, and you want to go to where it says edit rig. There you go. That gets you into here. And this would actually allow you to move your bones around. So you'll notice you can move the bone after it's been placed. If you want to get rid of a bone or get rid of a joint, you can highlight it in this edit rig mode and then delete it. Clicking back on a joint going forward would add new bones there. Okay. Or if you're in create bone mode. I want to get out of this edit mode, so I'm going to go back. But that's how you can, if your bones are a little bit off or you want to remove a bone that's unnecessary or move a joint, you could do it that way. See, this kind of messed it up a little bit. There we go. I'll probably fix this by adding a bone here to kind of, this needs to have this not move so much. It needs to have its own bone structure. There you go. Now it's not moving as much. It's moving a little bit, but that has more to do with this keyframe change. So if I was to remove that. You can see that this isn't moving as much because it has that base there. All right. So let's see this kind of more in action. Same idea. I have this drawing here. It can't be a symbol, so please don't have it be a symbol. And what I'm going to do is use the asset warp tool. And I'm going to add like a shoulder joint right there. And then I'm going to add another one. This is going to be my elbow, and this is going to be the wrist, and this is going to be the fingers. Now I could do each finger independently, but I'm too lazy to do that. And so now that I've done that, what I'm going to do, let's keep it like this. And then I'm going to go here, add a keyframe, go back to my warp tool. Oops. Yeah, there we go. Let me go back to the warp tool here. And let's just say for the sake of argument, I'm rotating this. Oops, looks like I didn't get the fingers there. Or the stroke around it. Let's go back and edit this a little more. So I'm going to select here. Let's rotate this wrist a little bit. So it's rotating that. Let's actually rotate. This would rotate. If you select this joint, it's going to rotate from the last joint bone behind it. So it kind of does that. And then let's do a classic tween. Oops. I mess up there. Might let's try that again. I think it didn't like it because all right. Let's try that again. Let's do the warp tool. Click. Okay. And then let's do keyframe. Let's move this. Move that. Okay. Come back, insert. Oh, I think I did a motion tween. Maybe that was the problem. There you go. So you can see oh, the fingers are getting a little weird there. I might have to move that you know, that joint, that bone there. It's kind of acting a little weird. So maybe we can edit the rig. Might do a little better rather than having the bone at the finger, maybe like there. That might prevent it. There you go. It's not as noticeable now. Still doing it, but okay. So this is how we can take a static drawing and really add to it. So in the last couple ones, when the characters move, oh, sorry, I kind of skipped one. We can actually have multiple bone structures in the same object. So this is exercise 10, and I have this star, and I'm actually going to add a bone structure for each kind of point of my star. So I'm going to click here. There's actually, I'm going to do that. I'm just going to stop, and I'm going to click off, and then I'm going to add another one. All right, and then I'm going to add another one here. Oops, no. So I'm adding multiple, each one of these counts as its own warp. skeleton, essentially. I'm going to go here and let's do an insert keyframe. Okay. And then I'm going to go back, grab the warp tool, and then I'm kind of manipulating each bone structure here. All right, so pose 1, pose 2. Let's do a classic tween. Lay this back, and there you go. Okay, so that's having multiple bone structures within our animation or within our character. Last thing is also in these last couple sort of animations, you know, the bones kind of, move linearly. Okay. These are what are referred to as hard bones. If you click on this and you go to your properties under your bone, it says hard. Sometimes we want something to kind of unfurl. So like imagine like rather than a piece of rope moving, this is kind of hard to show. Rather than moving like this, we might want it to kind of wrap, like kind of unfurl in a curl, think of like like the way an octopus arm would move or something like that. So we're going to try to do that. Okay. What I'm going to do is I have this elephant and I'm going to add some bones here. And I'm just going to add a bone here. And then I'm going to add one at the base of his trunk. And then I'm going to add another one there. Okay. And we're going to set the bones from hard to soft. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is let's go to insert a keyframe. So see how when I do this, it kind of curls upward. So it goes from here and then it kind of curled inward. So when I add in this classic tween, see how it kind of curls inward? That is like a soft bone. As opposed to just like literally moving it, it's kind of like curling in a little bit. So I kind of move the bone here. Do that. There you go. Let's try the same thing with this squid or octopus. And I'm actually going to do this with 4 separate structures. One here to here, one here to here, one here to here, and then one here to here. So I'm going to click. And then let's add one there. And then I'm going to hit escape to start a new one. Oops. Okay, hit escape. Okay. And now that I've done that, let's see each of these. So these are all actually already set to soft. If they weren't set to soft, we'd have to make sure they're set to soft. Looks good. All right, now that I have that, let's curl them inward. So let's do an insert keyframe. And then when I bring this in, you can see how it curls everything inward. So, something with like a kind of loose, like a piece of rope or, elephant's trunk, or I don't know. You could probably think of some, maybe hair could kind of work this way, or like a plant, like a plant might kind of curl in a little bit as opposed to just like physically moving to the left. And let's do a classic tween. All right, and then let's play this, and then there you go. All right, so I want you guys to try that out. That was 7, 8, 9, and 10.